to start looking to shape up, right? What's that dynamic looking like as we start leaning straight into Veno in curve? Veno's somewhat of a perfectionist when it comes down to his land and drop. We've seen him do it some of the best, and as we start to highlight that, of course, he's got something up his sleeve. An excellent double knock, and before they can touch the ground, Veno finds a two-piece.
Already things are switching up, because remember, we were looking at the drop map where like Curve and Veno, they're contested by Void and Alfonso. We see already there's no contested fight. Veno gets the freedom. Danny Fishy and his duo goes down. Veno actually inadvertently helping the south side of Battlewood Boulevard. Electro and Ult, they thought they were going to be contested. Well, not this game.
That's crazy. And you can't fake that level of accuracy, that level of talent, right? Again, if you're counting them out, think again, fellas. But all right, let's settle down. It's just game. It's just heats, right? My gosh, we're off to quite the start here. Couple contested players, as we all know it here, sharing the drop down on the eastern side. But let's get back to Jaeger and crew here. This is of course, the Frigid Fortress. Yesterday, we highlighted this drop as one of the, I'd say, the most contested, but for good reason, right? You have that natural elevation and plenty of loot here to spare.
Yeah, I think the only unfortunate thing is you don't get a ton of metal. You actually have to rotate away from the POI. And then because it is so contested, even if you actually get the Frigid Fortress uncontested, you have to worry about everybody else around you, especially if the zone does pull towards the south. As we go on over to Reed and Cooper, north side of the map, uncontested as well. And the interesting thing about this spot over here is Reed and Cooper have the luxury of staying here as long as they want. You already see Reed flying in the sky, because there's a launch pad over on this side of the map, Monster. It's not a regular launch pad. I call this one the long pad because on this side of the map, it actually takes you further and farther. And if you combine that with the Flowberry Fizz, you can see why Reed and Cooper have no worries in the early game.
Yeah, have somewhat of a super launch pad. You know, Reed's no stranger playing outskirt maps. You look back to his previous chapter drop. So this is really interesting how the dynamic changes now that you have again, the super launch pad here to play off of as well. So that's going to go ahead and play into their favor. A little bit of a standoff here between JV, Smiley, and the opponents, but nothing serious breaking out just yet at the wonky land. Yesterday, we saw plenty of tactics coming out here from, of course, the likes of Ritual. This time, though, yeah, they seem to just be holding down this vending machine and really content, more or less, with hanging out for now.
Yeah, and honestly, with Shark and Teeny on EU, with X and his duo yesterday in Heat 1, even though we're used to seeing Wonky Land uncontested, I think it's proven you can kind of get away with splitting that drop spot and still having a good performance. You just know, just like everybody else, you don't want to be contested right out of the gates. Soneto, Kazis, you see the early game fights. They're easily able to wrap those ones up at the edge of the map as well, so they know the chances of getting third-partied are slim to none this early.
Kira. Bubba now, who's on the rotate, just going on the outskirts here. Playing relatively passively right now.
Yeah, on this side of the map here where you can kind of see all the way on the southeastern edge, there's two teams immediately contested at two different drops. There's one in the New Sanctuary that's uncontested. But kind of as I said yesterday, New Sanctuary, even if it's uncontested, getting out of that POI, that's what's the chore, not necessarily looting up. So continue to see how that one goes on as Frigid Fortress. Monster, you said this is probably one of the more stacked sides of the map, and you're still seeing teams, ones that didn't even necessarily land at the Frigid Fortress. That's Dash and Cam. They land just south of it. The loot there isn't necessarily enough. You have to create some sort of loot path so you can get the rest of your loadout, and that's why you see Dash and Cam not only floating around their actual spot going north, they see Blanks with their Surge Tower there, so they don't want to continue to rotate in that direction, so that just takes away one of their options.
Yeah, and you can see them just looking for scraps there. The material count showing that they are still also likely in dire need of metal. Threats and V not having so much of the same issues here on the western side of the Riptides.
And this is what, you know, Threats and Veer, when we're talking about a team like Threats, when it comes from Surge, watching him all last year in trios, he was the main guy on his trios collecting that Surge. And you kind of look at their stats and their performances now, as a team, they do have a high damage ratio, but it's Veer that's actually taken the role, getting a lot of their Surge. He had a 2.16 damage ratio, while Threats had a 1.64, I do believe. So they're both up there in damage, but you can see a lot of these duos really defining their their roles when it comes to getting Surge versus getting a lot of the missing loadout spots and the resources that you need.
Yeah, Brett's is for sure underrated when it comes to that. But look at this, Kaz and Sinetto using that overjoy shock to go and rotate out. They already picked themselves up in elimination here, so pretty much content with the overall damage they've done. And they're trying to get to the side of the zone here to likely just pressure other teams out. Meanwhile, you have Salt in enough here, likely getting cut off. So it might just be a clash happening as we start talking about that. Veno, of course, up to no good here, sneaking in, jumps inside the box, and I mean, this might just be all she wrote. Yep, making it look nice and easy. The shotgun shot was so massive there, and he just doesn't miss. What do you do with this abundance of loot here now? I mean, this is a crazy hot start for them.
Yeah, that's actually, they get the 2 eliminations off drop. Obviously, they're not able to loot those. And I was thinking, man, you just help. Oh, you helped Electro, one of the guys he just took down, because now they're uncontested towards the south. But Veno leaves no stone unturned. He looks around, catches them off guard. And I think that's a decent strategy, because now they thought they were kind of free. They get uncontested. The team they were fighting went down. What are the odds somebody lurks on us? Well, pretty high when you're going against Veno and Curve on the other side. And that's going to help them a ton for their surge. Remember, right out of the gates, they got the 200 because of the full eliminations there. And then another 200 there from the lurk. So I would imagine Veno and Curve as of now are positive 400 damage.
I mean, like, they've taken no damage. So amongst all that, not only that, they haven't taken any damage, so they've actually absorbed the full, you know, benefits, right, under the new Surge kind of ruling. Very, very strong position to be in right now. This is just game 1, right? So how are the teams going to adjust now? Because they have to do something different. Surely you gotta have their guard up a lot more. You can see from Electro's perspective, he's like, my bad, bro. Oh,
no, that was more than my bad, bro. That's one I feel like he's not gonna live down after that one. The community might not let him, because that's 2 things that went wrong, because he wasn't able to get the lurk from Veno, and then he makes a mistake with the shockwave. But for Veno and Curve, they're eating good at Battlewood, because not only that, they pull the actual zone. It's still early, 3rd zone, but for now they have very little to worry about against everybody else.
I saw a clip yesterday. People were circulating someone falling off a high ground. You know, I'm not gonna name no names. It was rough. It happens. But that, broadcast,
the pressure.
that one back for y'all. Sorry.
It absolutely shows the pressure, I think, that a lot of players are going through. And I think as the day does go on, a lot of those mistakes will kind of cease to exist. They'll kind of tighten up. But until then, that's what you kind of see. But you see, I was talking about Threats Veer being great fighters. Muzz got to be the most effective fighter in play-ins. 2.67 damage ratio. That's not a meme. That is just pure dominance coming out of Muzz. And him and Sphinx, they already have a Div Cup win under their belt this season as well, performing well in Reload Elite Series. So it thinks like their former teams, they got cursed, they broke up, they had to play together, but now it looks like a blessing more than anything else.
Yeah, absolutely love that stat. Just flexing how good, how smart of a player Muzz really is. Start talking about smart plays here. Cuban and Cryptic going for a dead side rotate right now, playing the outskirts of the Battlewood. So far, so good. Loadout's looking pretty strong. They're in a pretty prime situation to do good things here to kick things off. And those y'all just tuned in, remember what's on the line right now is your ride to the finals. Can you pull in the big victory royale? Or will you have to just be consistent and show up here in the lobby? 52 players for the first time here inside the Heats that are looking to make their potential first finals. You love to see it, but it also just flexes that what feels like basically the bulk of the lobby, right? The other half of the lobby has been here, has done this before.
Down underneath through the tunnels. It's easy way to rotate without being spotted up above, but you have to be careful. You never know if somebody else is lurking underneath in that tunnels, especially since you can hear the footsteps from above you. So right now for Accept, his duo, they're able to get the inside vaults underneath. I forget what it's actually called, but you kind of go through these tunnels. It unlocks one of those little things that you can pick up, and then you take it there to get the legendary chest. And it's one of those things that you have to go in and out of these tunnels in order to get spawned on the map.
I like how they understand too that, hey, we got to be really tactical here. And look, it ends up paying off. This is a team that's not as cautious as them. And this is exactly what you need to look out for. And this is what Flying and Accept we're trying to not have happen to them. You know, I was going to call out the fact that they're spending a lot of time right now in the mid game with not a lot of material. But hey, who needs to farm when you can go ahead and get an elimination and eat up just like that? And that's going to bode very well for their Surge overall as well.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You can't get caught underneath, especially if a team is already lurking. As the game goes on, it becomes more and more of a no-fly zone, so to say. But they're 196 above the damage threshold. But for this zone, they honestly don't have to necessarily move. Yes, they have to get to zone, but don't have to worry about Surge. Cooper, Reed, they got a little bit of worry in their minds. 122 above the damage threshold. Reed looking like he was going to get aggressive there. They got some early damage on that team, but you can see the zone is pulling towards the south. Even though there's not too many players around him, the third party, as this game continues, that threat will increase.
I like the instant response by Reed playing alongside Cooper. Whoever made the comms to double back there, playing in sync, which is what's most important. Even now, though, there's potential airdrop down low, but full focus here on getting their material counts back up and stabilized. Meanwhile, have Yex and Ducky here, just below the Surge right now. 69 damage below. Plenty of potential opportunities to take a fight nearby him, but only got a couple seconds to make a move here. It's going a bit back and forth here as other teams are already looking to engage.
Yeah, you can kind of see right now, 45 above the damage threshold. They're right there next to zone. But once we go into the next phase of the game, that Storm Surge, they might be under it. So they need to start being proactive to try to get that damage. For now, it's all fine and dandy, 45 above. But that's why you see Ducky getting aggressive, trying to take control of the pieces that we can fire off from above. But since they're out the edge of zone, they can look back. They see so many other teams that also still have to make their rotation in. And with the overdrive shockwave grenades being the primary mode of rotation, there's going to be so many chances for them to accumulate that damage.
Got to continue to be flexible here. Get the damage. Landed tags. Don't miss out on any opportunities. Starting to jump in with Hound. Someone we've seen time and time again. No stranger to these set lobbies right now. Looking very, very much solidified. 368 damage above the threshold. QT's aim. Meanwhile, Muzz and Sphinx. A bit low on shields right now. They've gotten into a bit of a skirmish. However, they are positioned relatively finely on the overall damage here. Already turning the lobby back against Cube's duo there in the distance.
Kind of seeing the south side of this zone becoming more and more stacked, maybe even the east side as well. That's where it was already open up, and it's up more so on the north and the western side. So if you're ready to take that risk, you could try to grab some open land where nobody's there. Unless you're going to be stuck here with Muzz and Sphinx. At least them, they got almost 400 damage above that threshold. One less worry in the back of their mind, but 79 people still left alive. You said it yesterday, sometimes the game ones move a little bit slower than the rest of the day.
Yeah, normally on NA especially, that's very, very relevant, right? Like, that's a relevant take. Today, it feels exactly like that. You know, this is what I expected out of Heat 1, given how many newer names were kind of showing up. Heat 1 was moving, I'd say, fairly fast for what it's worth in game 1, but Heat 2, much different, much more traditional pacing here. This is not looking too hot right now for Reed and Cooper, though, who are under the Surge right now. A couple tags there to buy them a little bit of relief. This is going to be a critical opportunity now to find some tags to get just a few to stay in the game here. And even just these couple seconds, like even those couple seconds is super important. Look at this. Muzz, Sphinx, uncharacteristically finding themselves way below now. They were already desperately exchanging heals just in the fight before this. Now forced to dig deep once again here.
I feel like this is something we saw yesterday, honestly, from Agers, from Ritual, Rise, Curly, teams that booked their ticket to the grand finals. They were games. They were in this exact position, below the damage threshold, getting struck by active Surge, having to bounce up and down that actual damage threshold. And you can see Sphinx out of heals, 23 damage above. They have to hope on this next rotation they're able to get the damage that they need. You can see that's further and further away. Teams already prioritizing their rotation ahead of Muzz and Sphinx, and even Muzz has no extra heals in his inventory, so it's almost a must that they need an elimination here.
Yeah, I like the idea that they tried to take out that duo on the side there, but this is extremely sus right now. Again, no heals here, no room for error. Muzz unfortunately didn't land close enough to another enemy there, and he's just trying to trail behind Sphinx. Oh, whoa.
Uh-oh.
That one shockwaved him out. Sphinx gets sent out to the side there too. This is really rough.
Yeah. Solo shockwave from Sphinx. Send Muzz flying back a little bit. He goes down, sends him further below the damage threshold. 3 more ticks is all Muzz can really take in this situation. 1 more already down. He has 3 extra HP. Chris and Drew are there. You see him leaving the extra mats. He's saying, hey, if you're going to get this elimination, you're not going to get much for it. And he's just making sure to deny anybody those extra resources if he's going to go down anyway.
Yeah, no free handouts over here. That's a competitor through and through to the very end. I'm looking at this wide eye. I was just about to say Veno is in desperate situation here now. Very low HP, but seems like he's managing to bounce his way back. Just having to use the Chug Jug here. Curve on the lookout right now. Damage looking good for the duo. Taking a look though, no one's really situated position up for high ground. Acorn and Bolts might be the first to take a stab at it here, but big damage coming in now. This is gonna be bad for Bolts and Acorn as well. What's going on? Also below the surge.
Chug Jug. This is not looking good. You hit the nail on the head. They are so far below, and even they are out of their extra heals. This is desperation mode at its finest. One more tick. Bolts goes down. No knock. Straight eliminated. Acorn is able to use the Flowberry Mist while he gets above the damage threshold, but he knows his job is not done just yet. He elevates himself high. This is going to be his best chances to get surged, but other players shockwaving by. Land a couple of more shots. No extra heals for Acorn means needs a miracle of an elimination here.
He's got some mats to work with, but can he find Siphon? This is going to be very difficult. I love the confidence that a play for high ground, right? This is a real veteran move to say, you know what? I'm super low. However, I got materials. I got to play for my best advantage possible. Let's commit to high ground. Zone ends up pulling somewhat not too favorably here. He's going to have to bounce his way in, and nope, he gets caught in the play there. And just like that, big names falling very early here, and you know, anything can happen. Talk about that passive you tend to see in game number 1. Hey, it plays out even for the best of us.
Yep. Everybody kind of falling. 2 Storm Surges getting dropped down. Even Eulogy's down here. He's hoping to out-heal it. He does have the Fizz Med Grenade, so that way he can drop it down. That's at least 100 more shield, but he's so far below that damage threshold. He either has to make a huge risk trying to get into a box or hope to survive it with the heals that he has, and he's choosing the latter. Even Cold on the other half, along with Rapid, having some trouble with the Storm Surge. They finally get ahead, but is it too late? Because now Cold is stuck on the outside of the zone, separated from Rapid, trying to find his way back. If no elimination so far, they need to start putting the pedal to the metal, or this opportunity will escape their grasp.
Yeah, movement just looking a little sloppy there. Missing edits, missing climbs. No, and then he gets caught from a pre-edit from the other side of the wall. So Rapid has a decision to make now. Do you play this game out, try to play for the red, or just push through the opponents? It's actually A-Cube on the other side there. Finding his little bit of piece control here. Cold has to drop what little bit of heals that he can, but the zone bounces back. Okay, this is actually favorable. Rapid just has to clutch right now.
Yeah, he's going against a whole duo trying to break into the box. He's had so much time here to try to get that revive. It's just a fly at a picnic. They're trying to get his food. He just keeps shooing them away. Finally, he's finding success. He does have the med kit as well, but the zone is now creeping up on Cold, who does not have the HP to take too much damage. You got Teeks here, along with Naves, going underneath. They have an opportunity to try to look back, catch somebody off guard, because they are in the front side of the zone, but they are quickly running out of materials.
Meanwhile, high ground, though, has Reet and Cooper, 3 eliminations, couple of mats to work with, and they're pressuring the second and third layer teams here. And this is looking very good for Reet and Cooper, but I'm going to assume that they're going to need a refresher here in just a couple moments. Can they find themselves an Elim? Overall, though, look at those SMGs. The first SMG, perfect for applying pressure from top down. Meanwhile, look at Veno's POV. He's bounced his way back in the game, still has plenty of heals to work with as well, and they might be looking to play that over for high ground as well.
Yeah, that was a good play by Veno, just kind of leading the charge, knowing that his zone is going up that mountain just a little bit. They're trying to prepare just in case they do go for that shockwave. As you see Teeks down below, he found the tunnel. Good luck trying to get out of this one because the zone is closing in. He's definitely putting himself on a clock, gets the resources from his teammate. That might have been the plan all along, because now he uses the Fizz to get inside of the zone. But Veno goes down, leaving Curve by himself outside with only the pizza in his pocket. He has to use it instantly. Shockwaving with the Fizz. They don't make it into zone, and they get cut short outside of the top 10.
Cold is somehow back to max HP as well, and they found the refresher. Look at this. Max shield, max health, and he's back like he never left. This is a very close game for them, and talking about comeback story now playing out. Meanwhile, Veer on the wrong side of the barrel taken down, and that's going to be 4 eliminations now for the duo. Reet and Cooper have to look out for this team because the momentum is starting to add up down low, and they're fizzling out up top.
Yeah, there's only 3 full teams, and you mentioned all of them. Everybody else down below running around as solos, and Cooper and Ree are not letting anybody breathe. They're suffocating them from above. The amount of pressure is insurmountable. Even Neko is just trying to build up to alleviate some of that from the high and the low, but he gets pushed right back on down. Rapid and Cold have to start thinking about a plan B. High ground might not be the play, so they immediately charge down low. Cold trying to break into the box. His second life here in this game, and he's trying to make it matter. Rapid does the same thing. A huge elimination down below gives them control of the low ground.
This is crazy. Rapid goes off, does his own thing. Cold does his as well. And Raven's all left in the middle here. Huge shot from Cold, though, to keep him in the game. And that's the refresh that they need. And look at this. Mistakes from up top. Oh. Cooper takes fall damage. And now Reet has to come down by himself. But who wants to be in this situation? Rapid, Cold are here to show up, and they win game number 1 in somehow clean fashion from their side.
If you're Cold, everybody looks at him. The guy doesn't swim enough. He doesn't practice enough. He doesn't get on the game enough. Well, this is FNCS. He's a prime time player playing with Rapid, and we didn't even really talk about them enough coming in.